During my teaching career, I've been asked one question more than any other, and that is, what do I do to make my child be more successful in school? And this isn't just from parents whose kids are floundering. This is from parents whose kids may have B plus, A minus, and they want them to be better. And so over the 23 years of teaching, I've come up with a list, and then that's been improved because my own kids are now entering middle school. And so here's what I have for parents like myself and you. Take it for what it's worth, but hopefully it will help you. Number one, I think you need to define success. And just as teachers need to define success differently for different kids based on their background, I think parents need to do that as well. No one looks at a kid who's never run before and says, you're going to be an Olympic champion. They look at him and say, you can run a mile today, you can run 2 miles next week, etc. And builds and resets goals so that each goal is reasonable and that the end result is much higher than you would have gotten by just saying you're going to be an Olympic champion. I think the second thing is to be consistent. Kids very quickly know which parent or which teacher is going to have the backbone of a jellyfish and who they should go to get their way. So take these as you will, and I hope they're helpful. First thing, get a pattern. When your son or daughter comes home, they should have a short break. I've seen too many kids have long breaks of an hour or two and then get to homework, and as increasingly as the day and evening goes on, they're more and more tired and less likely to be ready for good results with homework. So I do all these things you're about to hear with my own kids, come home and have a 10 or 15-minute break. When they come home differs on the kid because they may have an activity after school. But when they get home, they know they have a 10 or 15-minute break to get a snack, and then homework starts. The kids typically will pick one, maybe two spots they work in. These are spots that we've worked out over time, knowing the personality of the kid, knowing that one might need to be closer to myself or to my wife, or we can trust them more to do what they need to do. And then the third one, we follow the same pattern day after day after day. Okay. The third thing, there was a game show, Are You Smarter Than Fifth Grader? And most of us realized that we didn't remember much of the stuff that we learned in fifth grade. So no one expects you to learn all the things your kids or know everything your kid is going to learn, social studies or for that matter, math or English or whatnot. But there is Google. Nothing wrong with emailing the teacher. I certainly respond pretty quickly, and more quickly probably texting friends. That's not saying they're going to give the answer, but maybe confirm something or explain something more, even better. Also, using Quizlet.com is a great way to review with your kid to see if they've learned it. You just go there, there's a search engine, you type in whatever subject the student's been learning in whatever class, and you can even say Virginia SOL, Algebra 1, and come up with something like that, and it will come up with flashcards. Usually the top few are the best. Doing all these things and working with your child, it shows that you care. If you show you care, they're going to care more about doing whatever, going back to my first slide, goal for success you've set up for your child. Knowing, we already touched on the first one, what room tends to work for you. My wife, for example, used to have her office in the basement, and when my kids started getting homework, she moved it up onto the main floor because we had decided that we wanted the kids at the kitchen table, and that way her proximity to the kids was much greater. She can hear if they were on task. It also, even where you are, I tend to come home and I do my homework with my own children, and so I put the laptop right next to one or all of them, or my girls now like to often work in their room, so sometimes I'll just grab the laptop and go sit on a bed in their room or on the floor next to them. Checking on them. It doesn't have to be bugging them, but calling them. How's it going? Walking by them and surreptitiously just looking, making sure they're on the right task. I think knowing that they have homework is important, either having your own Blackboard account with all of them on it, or just asking them for login password is important. The comment I get from parents who thought their kids were doing work more often than not is, I asked them if they had work and they said they didn't have any. Well, any kid that's asked, do they have homework, and didn't want to do it is always going to say, I didn't have it. So I always say, show me the completed work. And if you have a problem with your son or daughter not doing work, I would institute a consistent pattern of daily, and not for a week or two, but 3 or 4 months, checking their planner. If they don't have a planner and they use their iPod or smartphone or whatever. And if they don't put anything, then establish a communication with me, the teacher, and getting it, making sure they're writing this stuff down, and then rewarding it. Maybe initially starting with a dinner, but ultimately going back to the first slide where we talked about success. Success should be improving how they do in class, and if they've maybe always gotten a D before, well, we don't expect them to have an A right away, but maybe getting up to a C. Or if they've not done homework ever, then let's work on doing homework and then worry about some other things. Okay, I encourage your kid to get help from peers. That's not to say they're going to get the answers, but helping them solve it. There are a lot of times where it's frustrating to be at home because you can't get the teacher. And this day and age, there's so many different things you can do. Google Hangouts is my favorite one. You can see, this is a shot of Google Hangouts. You can have up to 9 people in the room with your son or daughter, so it's Skype on steroids. FaceTime's another one. Freeconferencecall.com is, as it indicates, free, and it's up there for a parent can sign up, and then your son or daughter just gives out a number, and they can have as many as, I think, 1,000 people on there, so far more than you'd ever need. And the only cost, if you will, is that you get an email as soon as the chat is over, and I would actually like that for my kids because I would know that they have just used it. I think the last thing I don't even have on here is have kids come to your house. Where my daughters, for example, have done a lot of projects in the last year, and they've had a lot of kids come over. But we define how long. It's not for the whole evening because they have other homework. So we ask them, how long is the project? What's the project? We figure out how usually they come home on the bus, and they're usually picked up within an hour so that they have time for the other items to do for homework. You will see in my class I use remind.com to send out reminders to the students, and the parents are also able to sign up. How to do it is on Blackboard, or you can email me, and that way you know what the assignment is. I usually set it to go off at about 6, so hopefully you and the kids are home and in the middle of doing homework, if not dinner. The last one is sleep. I think that we tend to overlook this one because it's the one we can cut the easiest, and I think that I notice obviously that there is a lot of homework and activities combined for kids, and so they're not getting to bed at a reasonable hour. And I think the first thing to do is to look at the reasons why. Are our kids spending too much time texting, spending too much time playing games, and during the school year my kids have an hour, for example, limit on all technology other than what they're doing for homework. And what we've found is often they don't even have time to do an hour because they're doing homework and activities. I think the second thing is they go from this really intense looking at the computer or a phone and everything, they get into bed and their head's just swirling with things. And so one thing I think you should consider is reading. We started this because teachers in Fairfax County required my kids to read a book before they went to bed, something we had done since they were born, frankly. And so my kids were really into it because it was a goal that their teacher had set. And they still have this where they have to read 45 minutes every night, and that in itself gets them kind of tired and ready to sleep as soon as the light's out. I think the other thing is to catch up on the weekend, remembering that your REMs, your rapid eye movement, is going to be set for, if you go to bed at, say, 11 to 6, and you get on the weekend, you stay up till 3, and you sleep till 11, you're not getting the same consistency and depth of sleep. And I think that if that's the case for your kids and they're waking up tired or going to school Monday tired, you need to reconsider possibly how late the kids should be out, or should they be out both nights late, so that the goal being they are refreshed and may, if anything, have even more abundance of sleep by the time Monday morning rolls around. I hope these tips are helpful and that we can continue working together well.